So hi, good morning everyone. So I hope that everyone is doing good, and in previous video we discussed about what are emotions, what are the definition of emotions, what are the types of emotions. We also spoke about how emotions play important role in our life, and further moving on, in today's video we will be talking about the personality theories. We would understand the Freud's psychoanalytic theory, then we will also understand Jung's approach towards analytical psychology. Then we'll also understand the big five personality traits and behavioral and social learning theories. Topping over that, we would also try to understand how personality tries to shape our current life or our life in general. And after all this, we'll end it by critique and limitation, where we'll understand what is subjectivity and objectivity. I hope that you get what I'm trying to do in here, and I do have some work here and there. My throat is not doing good, but I'll try to do my level best. So without any further delay, we'll just jump on it. So the biggest question is that what is personality? So at a very simplest, we can just say it as a unique blend of traits, a unique blend of thoughts, feelings, and your behavior that makes each of us distinct, which make each of us stand out in the crowd. But beneath lies a definition, a simple definition, which is way too complex. It lies in the labyrinth of complexities. So, is the personality is what something which we are born with, or is it what that our environment shapes us to, or can we change it, or are we bound with our core traits, or something like that? That the most profound question is that do we know ourselves at that level? These questions are not just academic, but it does touches every aspect of our lives, from relationship, from careers, from everything that the dream keeps us alive, every single thing. So we will just start with understanding how these pieces of puzzles are put together and they do form something meaningful. If we talk about the psychoanalytical perspective, Sigmund Freud, the father of psychoanalysis, believed that the personality is shaped by the unconscious mind. According to him, our desires, fear, and our childhood experiences are the foundation who we are. And his famous model, id, ego, and superego, our superego, suggests that the constant suggests a constant interplay between the instinct, reason, and moral. Imagine this: our personality are kind of an iceberg. What we see on the surface is just a fraction, and what lies underneath is the true form, or is a true core of us. So if we talk about the trait perspective, fast forward to 20th century, where the theorists like Gordon Allport and Raymond Cattell sought that sought to identify universal traits that define us. Traits like extroversion or agreeableness provides a framework for understanding how we interact with the world. The big five personality traits are openness, extrovert, extroversion, then agreeableness, neurocriticism or neuroticism, and there is one consciousness, or it is something like that. So this basic five personality trait model offers something relevant, which is sustainable as well as very essential for the growth. Think of it as a spectrum, where we will understand where do we fall on the spectrum of introversion versus extroversion, or spontaneous versus meticulous planning, whatever. So if we talk about the humanistic perspective or approach, Carl Roger and Abraham Maslow, who revolutionized that the way we behave is that the way we see ourselves. Humanistic psychologists argue that the personality isn't just a product of our past, or but it is a kind of a reflection of our own potential, of our own will and determination. Maslow's hierarchy of needs suggests that our personalities evolve as we strive from self actualization, self realization, some kind of fulfillment of our highest capability. It is a reminder that within each of us lies the capacity of greatness. Behavioralists like B.F. Skinner and the social cognitive theorists like Albert Bandura emphasized on the role of the environment and learned behaviors. According to them, the personality isn't just a fixed trait, it is shaped by our experiences and rewards and consciousness we face, and even people we observe. Bandura's concept of reciprocal deterministic approach reminds us that we are both the products as well as the creators of our environment, of our lives. Your personality does not react with the world, but it somewhat shapes it. Finally, the advances of neurosciences and genetics have revealed that personalities are also deeply rooted in biology. Traits like temperament or emotional reactivity are somewhat influenced by the brain structure and the neurotransmitters. Yet, even the nature and the nurture dance together, shaping the intricate mosaic of who we are. So, first of all, we'll try to understand what is Freud's psychoanalytic theory. So it is somewhat like unlocking mind's hidden depth. So, at its core, that Freud theory is a study of unconscious mind. He proposed that human behavior is driven by the forces beneath our conscious awareness, much like an iceberg with a small proportion of water above it. The key construct, if we talk about the key construct, the key concept, the structural model of psyche, which somewhat included the id, the ego, and the superego. The id was something that the primal or the animalistic part of us, like our desires, our cravings, our impulses. It is a part that screams that I want this or I need this. Ego is kind of a mediator. It is a rational part that navigates the reality. It whispers that how can I get what I want while following the rules, or how I can get to this point even without damaging the current route or without damaging the current plan. So, there is something called superego, which is a moral compass shaped by the societal values and the societal bias and upbringing. It demands do what's right. So, now when we have talked about the key construct or the key concept of the structure of psyche, there is something called psychosexual stage of development. Freud believed that our personality is shaped through 5 stages, which is oral, anal, phallic, latency, and genital. Each stage represents a challenge or a conflict, and how we resolve these conflicts by lasting imprint, or how we resolve these conflicts, or this conflict leaves a lasting imprint on our personality. Now, if we talk about a real world, real life application, I would suggest that there are three. First is your dream analysis, second is your understanding your defense mechanism, third is your therapeutic practices. So, in dream analysis, Freud famously called dream as the royal road to unconsciousness. Now, wonder why dream about falling or flying? Like, have you ever wondered why we always feel that we are like falling or flying or being chased in our dream? Freud believed that this dream symbolizes hidden desires and unresolved conflicts. Example: a student, if is stressed out in the exam, might dream of being trapped or by reflecting their inner anxiety. Understanding defense mechanism. Freud identified the mechanism like denial, repression, progression as way as our ego protects us from the comfortable truths. Real life impact is when someone lashes out on a friend after a bad day of work. They might be replacing their frustration, and it's a defense mechanism at play. Then we have therapeutic practices like psychoanalysis. Freud's method of therapy, which paved the way for modern therapeutic practices. Techniques like free association, talk therapy allows individual to uncover repressed emotions like and they heal from their past trauma. This is the whole point of therapeutic practices. Now, while psychoanalytic theory was a great approach towards mind, this theory also uh, faced criticism. So, overemphasis on sexuality was one of the backlash that got. Then, lack of scientific rigor, there was cultural bias in it. So, critics argued that the Freud placed excessive importance on sexual desires, especially in childhood. Modern psychology consider human behavior to be influenced by broader range of factors, not just with one concept of sexual desire or sexual triggers. Okay. Lack of scientific rigor. Freud's idea were based on the case study and the personal observations. Which don't always meet the standard with empirical sciences. His theories are difficult to test and identify, and are also falsified, leading to criticism in the scientific community. And the cultural biases, Freud's work reflected societal norms of his times, early century of 20th century in Europe. Critics suggest his theories don't always account for cultural and social diversity. They were somewhat outcasted. So these were the kind of criticism that he had to face. Then scientific studies and research were done. So the first study was on studies on unconscious mind. Then the second was research on defense mechanism. Last was the Freud's influence on development psychology. So I would put all this scientific study in the description. You are free feel to go and read it out, study it out. So there are a few notable research paper. First research paper is on implicit self-esteem and defense mechanism. So this study shows how unconscious self-esteem influences behavior like aggression and defensiveness. It provides empirical evidence that unconscious mind possesses significant effects on emotional regulations. So why does Freud still matters? So Freud introduced the idea that our minds are layered, with much of the behavior driven by the forces that we can't immediately see. He emphasized that the importance of early life experiences are somewhat that shapes our current life or the current track of life. And perhaps the most important, he dared to ask the bold questions of human nature that are continue to inspire a lot of psychologists, neuroscientists, and philosophers even today. So we would talk about the Jung's analytical theory. So the key concept of Jung's analytical theory was that it revolved around the architecture of psyche. It evolved around the architecture of the brain, and he divided it into several components. The first component was the collective unconscious. Unlike Freud, personal unconscious, Jung proposed a collective unconscious where the reservoir of shared memories and archetypes inherited from human evolutionary past. Now, archetypes are something that universal symbols like hero or shadow or a mother or self that appears in myths, dreams, and art across the culture. Then we had persona, and shadows, which always now try to understand that the persona and the shadow are the two faces of the same coin, where the persona tries to speak the mask that we wear in the society, which are shaped by the cultural norms and expectations. Or the shadow is something that is repressed by ourselves, often like we often deny that we must integrate to achieve this wholeness, but it is what something lurks behind that mask, behind the persona, and it never comes. When it comes, it just lashes out. Then we have anima and animus, which represent the feminine and masculine aspects within every individual, crucial for understanding and balancing our inner world. And the final key concept was individuality or individuation, a lifelong process of becoming true selves by integrating all the aspects of psyche, conscious, unconscious, and subconscious. So, what are the real life applications of Jung's theory? I think there are four or five. First is that you would understand how personal growth works. You'll understand dream and creativity are interconnected, and you'll it will influence your relationship somehow, and your workplace dynamic would grow. So by example, if we go that by recognizing and confronting your shadows, you can address the hidden fears and your hidden biases, leading to emotional maturity and authenticity, which is a kind of a personal growth. Now, question for reflection: have you ever felt that you are wearing a mask in a societal setting? That's your persona working, right? So try to understand these basic theories. So just Jung emphasized that dreams are the dialogue between the conscious and the unconscious mind. Example: a recurring dream of being chased by a tiger or being chased by something symbolizes a shadow aspect of yourself, something that is unresolved or which is ignored for a very long time. Then relationships are just like anima and animus, which lead to a healthier connection, balancing our inner opposites and fostering empathy and understanding. And last is workplace dynamics. I think recognizing the archetypes like hero and the caregiver in the team setting can improve your communication and leadership skills and strategies too. Now, engaging, if we want to engage with the Jung's ideas, so we have to reflect on the recurring dreams and the favorite stories from our childhood. We also need to understand and engage with our own shadows, and we must also ponder what is our persona, what kind of mask we are wearing. So there were some scientific studies done during Jung's period. So the Jung's archetypes in the neurosciences was the first thing. In 2011, in the Frontiers of Psychology, explored how Jungian archetypes manifest in the brain activity during storytelling or dreams, suggesting that these patterns are deeply wired into the human conscious. The modern application in therapy are like techniques like Jung's dream analysis or active imagination, which are widely used in psychotherapy. Then we also have something called no, I think that would be okay. So there was one paper that was published. So the archetype imagination or the archetypical imagination, a neuroscientific perspective given by Anthony Stevens. This paper bridges Jungian theory with the neurosciences and showing how archetypes might be the universal neural template shaped by our evolution. So, do Jung matter? Yeah, I would say that everyone matters in psychoanalysis or psychology. Every single person, no matter what kind of contribution he has given, they all matter. Because let's say, in the case of Jung, he calls us to engage with our unconscious, try to face those shadows, to honor our dreams, to integrate a part of ourselves that we never overlook. And by doing so, we not only heal ourselves individually, but we also contribute to the collective wholeness of the humanity. So I think he is one kind of a good big person. So we were also talking about the big five personality traits. So in the scientific framework, if we talk, we have five big personality traits. First is openness, then consciousness, then we have extroversion, extraversion, sorry, extra, extraversion, then agreeableness and neuroticism. So first, if we talk about the openness, is openness to the experience like creativity, curiosity, and love for new ideas. For an individual, this plays a very important role for the growth and for the understanding of his own self. Then we have something called conscious consciousness consciousness or consciousness, which is something organizational, dependable, and self disciplinary factor that plays a vital role in shaping what we think or in shaping what we feel. Then something is called extraversion, which is just an opposite of introvert. It's kind of an extrovert, but the whole framework of extrovert, when it comes back into the trait, is called as extraversion or extroversion, which is nothing but sociability, energy, and assertiveness. And it is mostly found in extroverts. For that, you need to be very open, very conscious about what you think. Then we have something called agreeableness. So this trait is something that I think happens to all of us, irrespective of who you are, whether you are an introvert or an extrovert. Thriving on a peaceful note, on a very high-ended possible society, agreeableness and compassion, cooperation, and kindness are some kind of factors that do play an important role. And when we talk about neuroticism, then emotional stability versus tendency towards anxiety and mood swings is something which we call as neuroticism. So there was this one scientific study in 2010, done 2010 meta-analysis in Psychological Bulletin, which was linked to consciousness or consciousness to longevity, showing how personality traits can often influence not just behavior but also the health outcomes. Then the real life application is that understanding these five profiles can help for you to build better relationships, take healthier career choices, and use for your personal growth. And for instance, let's high openness and your low agreeableness can also thrive on your individual behavior or your own self. So we have covered, I think, a lot. So I think we are coming to the end of this video, which is how personality theories shapes our life. So understanding relationship, whether romantic, platonic, professional, these are all the interplays of personalities. So I think we should break it down in two parts, which is first the attachment style and the emotional bond, and the big five of relationship. So based on John Bowell's attachment theory, our early relationship with caregivers shapes how we approach connections as adult, like secure attachment, uh, avoidant attachment, anxious attachment, this kind of things. So secure attachment is nothing but confidence in relationship and open communication. If independence but difficult in intimacy is something called avoidant attachment. And if you have fear of abandonment or a need for reassurance, then that is something called anxious attachment. So what is the real life impact on of this? So if you recognize your attachment style, you can help yourself to build your own personality very stronger. You can understand your relationships more meaningfully, and most importantly, the factors for your growth are somewhat dependent on what kind of attachment you are holding to yourself. So whether it might be secure, it might be avoidant or anxious, God knows what you are. But this is what we become. This is what we become. So if we talk about big five relationships, big five in relationships, so I think agreeableness fosters compassion and cooperation, while neuroticism is something that can bring emotional volatility. So in 2020 study in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology found that couples were aligned who had aligned levels of agreeableness experiences greater harmony. So what are the takeaways? That understanding your personality is that one that creates empathy, it creates balance, it creates equilibrium, and not just about changing people, but learning how to appreciate their unique perspective is one of the good things that you would understand by your own personality type. So is career choice something that is attached to the personality theories? I would say yes, because people thrive on dynamic, high stake environments where they find their joy in precision and solitude. So, personality theory offers this answer. So, there is something called Holland's career typography. So, psychologist John Holland identified 6 personality types which align with specific careers. So, if you are a builder or an engineer, you are realistic. If you are a scientist and analyst, you are an investigative. If you are a designer or a writer, you are artistic. If you are a teacher or counselor, you are social. If you are a leader or entrepreneur, you are enterprising. If you are accountant or administrator, you are conventional. So these are 6 types of personality types which Holland gave us. Then we have MBTI and the work preference. So the MBTI is nothing but Myers-Briggs type indicator, which helps individual to understand their work preferences. So introverts thrive in reflective roles, while extroverts excel in collaborative environments. So thinkers value logic and feelers prioritize harmony. So I think this might be the end, I would say. So before ending, I would just we will just talk about self discovery and the journey inwards. So Carl Roger emphasized or that living that the importance of living in the alignment with your true self is something that is very important and vital in the current society. So why does he tell it? Let's take an example. A person who is stuck in his career, they often hate what they feel as incongruence, leading to unhappiness. Self reflection and understanding can bridge this gap, while Jung's individuality shapes that the concept of integrating the conscious, unconscious, and the shadow to become the whole. Application is something that recognizing and accepting your flaws and lead yourself to immense personal growth. I think this were the all what we were thinking to talk about, and I would just say that there are some things that you should always know, that psychological foundation theory are predominantly developed in Western educated and industrialist society. So they have their own profound implications. It might be individualism or collectivism or subjectivity or objectivity, or it might also have gender biases, it might also have cultural biases. So understanding each of them in a binary way, in a very isolated manner, in a subtle way, could really help to figure out what kind of social setting that you are living in and what kind of who you are. So personality theory isn't about what kind of research they have done or what kind of people analyze you. It's all about analyzing yourself based on what character type or what traits that you have within yourself. How do you react in the situation? How wise decisions you take? How critically acclaimed decisions are yours? How easily your decisions can be manipulated? How easily you get triggered? What are your fear pointers or what are your fear triggers? The aspects of your life that you have dealt with in your early stages somewhat reflect in what you are today. So rather than thinking that for this group I need to have this social setting, or for this environment or for this organization I need to behave in such a manner, rather than that, be your own self and try to understand who you are by understanding what kind of personality traits that you own, what you really are within yourself. And most importantly, I would say that it's not about something that needs criticism or it needs uh, pampering or it needs some kind of punishment. I think it's more of what you accept within yourself and you try to change for your own self, because behaviors, traits and patterns can be significantly changed by a little bit of discipline, a little bit of hard work and little bit of self determination. Understanding what's right for you is more important than doing what pleases people. So don't be a people pleaser, try to be yourself and try to understand the whole subject of your own self. When I'm talking about whole subject of yourself, I am meaning your aspects of your life. It might be your personal life, it might be your social life, it might be your professional life. For each setting you don't need to require to change yourself. You can be yourself and enjoy all these three settings by just understanding who you are. For that, you need to understand what are your triggers, what are your pointers, and what kind of a social animal you are. And when I mean social animal, I don't mean that how do you comprehend the whole social stigma or social stimuli. When I am saying a social animal, I am saying that what kind of traits that you hold collectively. So it might be your agreeableness, or it might be your openness, uh, it might be your readiness towards things. Just observe yourself, try to analyze yourself on your own. If you figure it out, it's well and good. If you won't, take a professional help, like from a psychologist or someone who can really learn you, who can really understand you, who can really help you out from that thing. Because being yourself is something that will stick with you till the end, till you die. So why is it important? If you talk to me, I would say that you would be in this settings for your whole life, and your whole life is based on the decisions that you take. Your one wrong decision can lead you to something horrible, something so wrong, that looking back you would regret that why didn't you acknowledge yourself, why didn't you understand yourself, why didn't you just try to break down yourself and find who truly you are. So psychology is not just a study of some part of a brain or your behavior, it's a study of your own self. So I believe that if you are so woke, if you are so active, if you are so rational, try to understand yourself, try to understand who you are, try to understand what you are. This is something that will provide you insight. This is something that will provide you a general biases of who you are. Being without being judged or without being called out, you would know who you are. This is where you'll understand what is self actualization, what is self realization, what is acceptance, how to overcome fear, how to indulge in healthy practices, how to manifest, how to explore new experiences, how to introduce yourself to gratitude, how to introduce yourself to fulfillment. These are the pointers which comes within you, not from somewhere out or by someone saying. It is something that you own, you have it for yourself. You just need to know yourself better and better every day. And when I'm saying all of this, this thing requires time. It requires a little more time of yourself with your own self. So if you think that you will sit down today and you will try to understand, it won't happen. It won't happen in a night. It would take you days, it would take you weeks, it would take you months just to understand the layer of your own self. I'm not even talking about the depths. If you start understanding your depths, you would be horrified. You would be engulfed with this feeling that who truly you are. It will send you in the phase of analysis and paralysis. So rather being in this dilemma of that you can sit in one night and understand yourself, it won't happen. Take baby steps, try to scratch the surface layer by layer, so you could understand yourself a little better every single time. So I think we have spoke everything about what we know, what we want, and what was there in this. So I would just try to end this whole topic. So understand, psychology is a mirror, but if the mirror reflects only one culture or one side of yourself or one gender or one perspective, it's incomplete, it's wrong, it's completely biased. So let's shatter, you and me together, shatter this narrow frames, this narrow structures, and build a discipline that truly captures a vastness of human experience, a vastness of our emotions. Together, let's make this psychology not just a science but an implementation of our own selves and celebrate what it means to be human. So, that's it for today, and I hope that this video brings some kind of light towards you. And I get a lot of times that maybe I am going a little fast and I am trying to use big words in here, but I'm trying to make it much more simpler so that a lot of viewers can understand what psychology is and how they can really put it to the work for their own selves. And I'll try my level best to make it more simpler so all the viewers can understand and try to experience it first handedly. So I think this is for all, and I'll pin down all the research paper, all the scientific study in the description. So if you are eager to read about it, if you are eager to know more about it, please go in the description and check those links out. And that's it for today. I guess we will meet tomorrow with a new video with a new thought. Up till then, take care and goodbye.